Noisy Pixel. JRPGs are a preferred genre of mine, yet I can't deny that many of them feel incredibly mediocre without almost no noteworthy selling points. Eternal Radiance is one such title. While there are a few bells and whistles that would ordinarily enhance the overall experience, it lacks the foundation that ultimately sours the entire affair. Eternal Radiance stars protagonist Celeste, a squire knight of the Ashen Order. She's a studious, dutiful, and determined young lady, if a bit of an airhead. After being given a mission that also acts as her initiation to be recognized as a true knight, Celeste must journey outside of her comfort zone and learn more about the world around her. She makes some friends along the way and ends up on a quest for self-redemption for a life-changing error that occurs. Eternal Radiance is half visual novel and half JRPG exploration and combat. The title begins with the former. While the writing is not masterful, it does an adequate job of establishing some key characters, personalities, motivations, and relationships. The art is also gorgeous, with there being beautiful CGs, uninspired yet breathtaking environments, and attractive women. At around 30 to 40 minutes in, depending on how many NPCs you choose to talk to and how fast of a reader you are, you'll eventually find your way into the combat section. This is unfortunately where the title begins to fall apart. Combat in Eternal Radiance is straightforward to a fault. You have a weak attack and a heavy attack with Celeste's sword, along with several skills that you learn through leveling. There's also a talent tree which houses various abilities Celeste can learn to suit your playstyle. You can alter Celeste's armor, weapons, and accessories just like any standard JRPG. The best comparison for this title's combat would have to be the Tales series, but that's only at a first glance. Before I get ahead of myself, there are smooth, quick transitions between weak attacks, heavy attacks, and skills to the combat's credit. However, there is a fundamental flaw in bringing all of that down, which is the title's lackluster performance. Despite this clearly not being a demanding game to run, there is a constant stutter during exploration. This happens regardless of how many enemies are on the screen, and it happens constantly, even when running around with no enemies in sight. This unfortunately hampers the combat severely and makes the already repetitive nature of it feel like a chore. The combat itself, while not exactly bad in hindsight, gets tiresome quickly. The area's design doesn't complement the hordes of enemies well. Most of the time it seems like there's just tons of them in random spots of the map, because why not? There's little thought put into how encounters should be, and due to that, it becomes a spam fest. Additionally, if you simply tilt the camera downwards, it clips through the floor and you can clearly see textures that are not meant to be seen. The ease of which anyone can do this is both humorous and disappointing. However, there is some clear, genuine effort put forth despite it all not working out in the long run. Enemies have mostly clear telegraphs, and there are even proper guards and quick dodge mechanics, rewarding the player for timing their reactions appropriately. There's even a mechanic to customize your weapon. Their map sizes are rather large, and while they contain treasures and the like, I honestly grew fed up with the substantial performance and beeline straight to the story objectives. I was expecting the bosses to absolutely obliterate me since I was skipping out on most of the enemies, but to my surprise, they weren't all that difficult. The mountains of enemies you can potentially kill are far from necessary for basic progression, at least on normal mode. You can also simply spam healing items during the boss battles, to which, in all honesty, pretty much ruined whatever tension and challenge these fights would otherwise offer. The towns in Eternal Radiance are not explorable and merely have a list of NPCs you can talk to. While not a massive detour from the experience, I can't deny that the lack of explorative civilization took any immersion out of the game. Selecting characters do provide side quests, which are quite welcome even though they are relatively mindless in execution. There's an element of this game that greatly impressed me admittedly, and that's the soundtrack. There's an incredibly well done score here for combat scenarios and general wandering segments. Eternal Radiance tries to be something that it's not. I can respect it for trying to incorporate JRPG-like elements into the overall experience, but the lackluster execution brings the package's quality down significantly. The visual novel side of the title is not revolutionary or superb, but there are some genuinely moving tension-filled moments. A good chunk of the characters have depth, and there are some heart-filled character exchanges. If the title were solely a visual novel, it would have been a far more compelling experience in my opinion. Eternal Radiance is not an awful, irredeemable game by any means. While I lashed out on it for most of this review, it clearly had authentic effort poured into the creative elements. Unfortunately, however, its bells and whistles don't do enough to justify some of the subpar elements of this product. It all just falls short of what could otherwise be a decent, engaging adventure. That, coupled with the weak performance, brings this title down a good number of notches. It's fairly short, but is also priced rather modestly. If you are mindlessly curious, feel free to pick it up. If you can stomach some of its frail aspects, you can find yourself enjoying a beautiful, hearty adventure. Noisy Pixel is giving Eternal Radiance a 5.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on NoisyPixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.